And our word for today on this Tuesday of the 13th week in Ordinary Time, our word for today is trust. Trust is our word for today, taken from our reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 19. Brothers and sisters, this story. This story has so much application for us. This is the story of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, and in particular, the story about Lot and his wife. So here we go. As dawn was breaking, the angels urged Lot on, saying, "On your way, take with you your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away in the punishment of Sodom." When he hesitated, the men, by the Lord's mercy, seized his hand and the hands of his wife and his 2 daughters and led them to safety outside the city. When he hesitated, the Lord, by his own merciful act, seized him. I have to tell you, in my own life, the Lord God, by his own merciful act, has seized me in the midst of my hesitation many times, when I have decided to allow myself to remain in a place where I should not be, or hesitated to go to the place where he wanted to take me. By his own act of mercy, many times he has moved me along, not against my will, but in cooperation with my will that was weak at the moment, that had not fully compelled me to move in the direction that he would have me go. But he knew my fear, he knew my anxiety, he knew my worries, and he assisted me in moving me along. So now the angel says, "Don't look back or stop anywhere, or you will be swept away." And he says, "Oh no, my Lord." Lot replied, he said, "You have already thought enough of your servant to do me the great kindness of intervening to save my life, but I can't flee to the hills to keep the disaster from overtaking me, and so I shall die. Look, this town ahead is near enough to escape to. It's only a small place. Let me flee there. It's a small place, is it not, that my life may be saved?" "Well then," he replied, "I will also grant you the favor you now ask. I will not overthrow the town you speak of. Hurry, escape there. I cannot do anything until you arrive there." So Lot, I believe inspired by the Lord, asked not to go into the hill country with just he and his wife and his 2 children, but to be allowed to go to this small town and save the people there as well. And this is exactly what happens. Lot, being inspired by the Lord, saves the lives of others in the midst of saving himself, not only being self-concerned, but also being concerned for that small town. And yes, they are saved as well. Obviously, it is exactly what we ourselves are involved in. We're not going to be able to save everyone. We go out and we proclaim the message to all who will hear. And some portion of those people accept that message and find salvation themselves. And then where we find our word for today in the gospel acclamation, Psalm 130, verse 5, "I trust in the Lord, my soul trusts in his word." You know, Lot and his wife, who turned back and lost her life, and his 2 daughters were in a place where they really had to put their trust in the Lord God. They relied upon his assistance. Lot made it safely. His 2 daughters made it safely. The town was saved as well. We must put our trust in the Lord if we are going to find that safe place to be. If we're going to be able to continue to move forward in the work that God has designed for us, we must put our trust in God, just as we see in the Gospel of Matthew today, chapter 8, when the storm has risen on the sea and Jesus stands up and silences that storm. At his very command, the waves become silent and they remain in that place of safety. So we can do the same when we put our trust in the Lord. Trust our word for today.